What if a simple act of kindness could ruin your life? I'm Darren, and 3 days after I let a stranger use my phone, the police showed up at my door. They told me my phone was linked to a stolen car and I was under arrest. Here's what happened. I never thought a single, tiny decision could almost ruin my life. But that's exactly what happened to me last year. My name's Darren. I'm 28, live in a mid-sized city in the US, work in IT, and I'm usually the kind of guy who keeps to myself. Not the type to take risks or get involved with strangers. I like my routines. I like predictability. But that Friday night, everything changed. I'd just finished work and decided to grab some takeout. It was one of those evenings where you're tired, but not yet ready to go home. I was scrolling through my phone while waiting for my food, completely absorbed in some mindless videos, when I noticed him. He was standing near the counter, looking uneasy, clothes a little dirty, hands fidgeting. He was in his 30s, I guessed, but something about him screamed nervousness. And then he approached me. "Hey, can I borrow your phone real quick?" Normally, I would have said no immediately, no hesitation. I don't like strangers. I don't like being in unpredictable situations. But there was something in his tone, a strange mix of desperation and politeness that made me hesitate. He didn't look threatening, just desperate. Okay," I said softly, "just for a quick call." He smiled, and it wasn't a normal smile. Relief washed over his face like a wave crashing on a quiet shore. He dialed a number, spoke quietly for a few seconds, and then handed my phone back. "Thanks, man. You just saved me," he said. And just like that, he walked off into the night. I shrugged. People borrow phones all the time, right? I didn't think twice. I didn't even remember what he looked like by the time I got home. That single moment seemed insignificant, almost forgettable. 3 days later, everything changed. I was sitting at home, mindlessly scrolling through my phone when I heard a loud, almost violent knock at the door. My heart skipped a beat. I wasn't expecting anyone. Opening it, I saw 2 police officers, badges glinting under the porch light, and the serious expressions that make you instantly know something is wrong. "Darren Thomas?" one of them asked. "Yes," I said, confused and nervous. "You're under arrest," one of them said. "Your phone was linked to a stolen vehicle, and we need you to come with us." I froze. My phone? Linked to a stolen car? That made no sense. I tried to explain. I tried to tell them about the man in the restaurant, about how I didn't even know him. But it was like talking to a wall. According to them, the phone I had let him use had been used in a car theft. My fingerprints were all over it. The next few hours were a blur. I was taken to the station, questioned repeatedly, and eventually released on bail. Everything felt surreal. My own apartment, my own life, felt like it had been replaced with a nightmare. I called my family, trying to make sense of it, and I could hear the panic in my mother's voice. "You didn't do anything, did you?" she asked, voice trembling. "No, Mom, I swear. I just let someone use my phone." I tried to sound calm, though my own voice wavered. Her silence on the other end spoke volumes. I could imagine her pacing back and forth, wondering if her son was suddenly a criminal. My dad, quieter than usual, said nothing at first, just asked me to stay safe. But I knew he was worried, more worried than he let on. Friends were hesitant too. People I thought I could rely on suddenly seemed unsure. Even the ones who believed me looked at me with a hint of doubt. Could I have unknowingly helped someone commit a crime? The question gnawed at me relentlessly. Court was worse. The prosecutor painted me as an accomplice, someone willingly helped a criminal. My defense tried to argue that I had no prior record and had been tricked, but every day, every text, every call, every app on my phone became evidence. My life, which had always felt ordinary and safe, had suddenly become public property, analyzed and scrutinized by strangers in suits. I remember sitting in the courtroom for the first hearing. My hands were clammy, my stomach in knots. Every time the doors opened and people walked in, my heart jumped. I tried to focus on the defense attorney's words, tried to remind myself that I was innocent, but the doubt, it was like a shadow that wouldn't leave. The days turned into weeks and weeks into months. I couldn't escape the anxiety. I stopped sleeping properly. Every knock at the door, every call from an unknown number sent me into a panic. My friends stopped inviting me out. My social life vanished almost overnight. My family tried to support me, but I could see it in their eyes. The fear, the doubt, the worry that their son might be guilty of something terrible. There were nights I sat alone in my apartment, staring at the walls, wondering how one small act of kindness could put my entire life on hold. The man who borrowed my phone had vanished from my life, but the consequences lingered like a shadow I couldn't shake. I started to dread simple things, going outside, talking to strangers, even answering my own phone. The world had suddenly become unpredictable and dangerous, and I felt powerless. I began doubting my own judgment, replaying that moment over and over in my mind. Could I have sensed something off about him? Could I have done something differently? Finally, after almost 12 months of uncertainty, the day came. The judge ruled in my favor. Not guilty. Relief washed over me like nothing I had ever felt before. Free. Safe. But also, forever changed. I walked out of the courtroom and felt the cold air hit my face, and for the first time in a year, I could breathe without that crushing anxiety in my chest. My family was there, waiting. My mother hugged me so tight I thought she might crush me. My dad gave me that quiet nod of approval, pride and relief mixed into one look. Even my friends who doubted me stood nearby, eyes soft with apology and understanding. The truth came clear. I hadn't done anything wrong. I had been caught in a web spun by someone else's actions. But the experience left scars. I realized how fragile life can be, how kindness, while beautiful, can sometimes come with unforeseen consequences, and that trust in strangers, trust in your own judgment, can be tested in ways you never imagined. But I also learned something else: resilience. The ability to face fear, to endure the uncertainty, to hold on to who you are even when the world seems to be against you. I survived. I moved on. And now I carry that lesson with me every single day, quietly, in the back of my mind, a reminder of how close I came to losing it all. So yes, I still try to be kind, but I've learned to be careful too.